Oxygen, the invisible force keeping our world alive. But what if, for just 5 seconds, it vanished? 5 seconds doesn't sound long until you realize, in those 5 seconds, life as we know it could end. Take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs. That simple act connects you to everything alive on this planet. It is powered by a gas you cannot see, smell, or taste. It is called oxygen. It makes up about 21% of our atmosphere. Yet the absence of this single element for such a short window would trigger a cascade of catastrophic events. The world as we know it would be instantly and violently transformed. Our atmosphere is a complex and delicate blanket of gases. It protects us, it warms us, it gives us air to breathe. Nitrogen makes up the vast majority, about 78%, but oxygen, at 21%, is the active ingredient. When oxygen vanishes, the air pressure at sea level would drop instantly by about a fifth. This is not like climbing a mountain. It is the equivalent of being suddenly transported from sea level to an altitude of over 15,000 feet. The change in pressure would be a violent shock to our inner ears. The sudden drop in external pressure would cause them to rupture. It would feel like a loud, internal explosion, followed by disorientation and a sudden loss of hearing. This would be the first and most universal physical trauma. It would impact any creature with similar ear structures. With oxygen gone, our atmosphere would be almost entirely nitrogen, with trace amounts of other gases. The sky would darken dramatically, shifting to a deep, dark violet, or even black. While your ruptured eardrums are still ringing, your body would face its next, more critical crisis: suffocation. You might think you can hold your breath for 5 seconds. Many people can. But this is not holding your breath. There would be no air to hold. The body's automatic reflex to breathe would become a futile, panicked gasp for something that is no longer there. Your brain, the most oxygen-hungry organ in your body, would begin to feel the effects almost immediately. The human brain consumes about 20% of the body's oxygen, despite making up only 2% of its weight. Without fresh oxygen coming in from the lungs, the oxygen levels in your blood would plummet. Within 2 to 3 seconds, the cognitive effects would begin. You would feel lightheaded, confused, and dizzy. By the 4th or 5th second, widespread fainting would occur. The immediate aftermath would be a world of unmanned vehicles careening out of control and countless accidents unfolding simultaneously. Our cells produce energy through a process called aerobic respiration, which requires oxygen. Without it, that process stops. Even a 5-second interruption could be devastating. For the very young, the elderly, or those with existing health conditions, the sudden hypoxia could be fatal. Our modern civilization runs on fire. We just call it by a different name: combustion. Every internal combustion engine works by igniting a mixture of fuel and oxygen. In that first second, every gasoline and diesel engine on the planet would sputter and die. The constant hum of traffic would cease, replaced by the screech of tires and the crunch of metal as uncontrolled vehicles collide. Without oxygen, those engines would instantly flame out. The plane would become a very large, very heavy glider. Pilots are trained for engine failures, but not for all engines failing at once. The silence would extend to power plants and factories. Coal and natural gas power stations would go offline. That would trigger cascading blackouts across continents. The lights would go out. The internet would go down. Hospitals and communication networks would lose their primary power source. Backup generators, typically combustion engines, would also fail. Without oxygen, there is no combustion. Even the simplest of flames would be extinguished. The machines powering our economy, transport, and energy grid would fall silent. For 5 seconds, our technological civilization would be sent back to a pre-industrial age with all the chaos of simultaneous failure. The very ground beneath our feet would react. Oxygen is a key component of many common compounds: sand, quartz, limestone, marble, and concrete. Oxygen atoms help bind these structures together, giving them their strength and integrity. Untreated concrete would become incredibly brittle, beginning to crack, crumble, and shed material. Exposed rock formations and cliffs would shed a fine dust as the planet's crust exfoliated. Water is H2O. If the oxygen atom vanishes, you are left with a massive quantity of unbound hydrogen gas. Bodies of water would essentially become immense clouds of highly flammable hydrogen. The surface might appear to boil as gas rushed upward, throwing ecosystems into chaos. Any piece of untreated metal touching another would instantly fuse. In space, this is a known engineering problem. For 5 seconds, Earth would share it. The ozone layer, made of oxygen, would disappear. A deadly torrent of UVB and UVC radiation would strike the surface. Anyone outdoors would be instantly and severely sunburned. Plants and plankton would suffer deep cellular damage. The sun would become a harsh white orb in a black sky, casting unforgiving shadows. After 5 seconds of absolute chaos, the oxygen returns. It reappears just as suddenly as it left. Those clouds would now be mixed with 21% fresh oxygen. This is a highly explosive combination. As oxygen rushes back, it meets countless ignition sources. The result? Massive, planet-spanning explosions. The ocean's surfaces erupt in flame and thunder. The sound would be deafening, a continuous global roar. The concussive force flattens coastal cities. Tsunamis race across the now liquid water. The depressurized atmosphere repressurizes. Air rushes back into the partial vacuum. Immense winds and a staggering sonic boom circle the globe. The pressure wave shatters windows. It knocks down weakened structures. Dust and debris are whipped into a global dust storm, choking the air and reducing visibility. Extinguished fires reignite with a vengeance. Small fires grow into uncontrollable infernos, engulfing reeling cities. In the minutes, hours, and days following the return of oxygen, the true scale of the catastrophe would become clear. The world would not be the same. The human cost would be astronomical. Millions, if not billions, would have perished in the initial chaos, in plane crashes, car pileups, building collapses, and explosions. Global infrastructure would lie in ruins. Power, communications, and the internet offline. Transportation impossible. Roads blocked, bridges down, vehicles wrecked. Supply chains for food, water, and medicine to billions would be completely severed. Environmental scars would run deep. Marine ecosystem collapse, radiation damage to vegetation, altered landscapes and weather. The atmosphere would be toxic. Technological progress of centuries largely erased. Knowledge remains, but the means to use it are gone. Humanity plunged into a new dark age, defined not by ignorance but by the memory of a world lost in 5 seconds. Psychological trauma would haunt generations. This entire thought experiment, this journey through a 5-second apocalypse, serves a single, powerful purpose. It is a lesson in cosmic perspective and planetary humility. We walk through our lives on a world that feels solid and permanent. We breathe air that feels limitless. We are surrounded by systems that seem robust. But it is all a delicate balance. Our existence hinges on a precise chemical mixture, a specific distance from our star, and 1,000 other variables. Oxygen is not a given. It is a gift produced over billions of years by tiny microorganisms that transformed our planet's atmosphere. It forces us to see the intricate connections between the air we breathe, the water we drink, the ground we walk on, and the technologies we build. This is not a story to inspire fear, but one to inspire wonder and a profound sense of responsibility. While the sudden disappearance of all oxygen is a fantasy, the slow degradation of our environment is not. We are running a slow-motion version of this same experiment. So the next time you stand outside and look up at the blue sky, take a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the quiet, invisible work being done inside your own body and all around you. Our planet is a rare and precious place. For 5 seconds, we imagined it gone. Now, we have the rest of our lives to appreciate that it is here. Let us not waste that opportunity.